Sony is developing more Spider-Man animated films. I think this is a good thing to hear, and I would love to. I hope that I would love to see something to where Sony puts all their money into their animation and backs away from the live action. Because look, Madam Web was one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. Um, and like not, and it wasn't the fact that it was so bad. It was just no, it was bad. I ain't gonna lie, it was bad. It was bad. It was boring. Even the shots and stuff were terrible, and even with Craven, another movie that's most likely going to be bad. Um, I think for right now, Sony should just stick with what's working, which is the animation, and build out your animated universe. It is not normal that an animated movie is making this kind of money. This is a special thing that they are building.
It's
And
groundbreaking.
yes, and bro, and Jerry, if I'm Sony, I'm paying this guy that's doing that Spider-Verse. I'm paying him 50 million, and you can make you have a 12 movie contract, build out the Spider Universe. You can do whatever you want. I think that's what they should do, and that's the direction that they should go. I would just really just do away with the live action and just save your live action for your Marvel and Sony collaborations, and go that way.
First of all, I would like to see other characters other than Spider-Man in this animation style. I know Marvel is never going to sell the rights to characters again. For those of you that don't know, they sold the rights to characters in the 90s, or I think maybe even in the early 2000s, but I'm pretty sure it's late 90s. They were on the cusp of bankruptcy and they couldn't do anything else. And Stevie and I were talking about this the other day. They sold the right to Spider-Man to Sony, and they tried to sell other characters to Sony. And Sony, and I made the analogy, it's kind of like Adidas in the early 80s or the mid 80s when, they were presented with Michael Jordan wanted to work with Adidas, and Adidas, seeing Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, they didn't get the power forward thing. They didn't think Michael Jordan was going to be a hit. They were like, Adidas is a German company. So they were like, no, we want a center. We want a star. That's how they saw the star, the center. And with Sony, Japanese guys, they're not in America. They didn't get comic book culture. They knew Spider-Man was a hit because they love Spider-Man in Japan, if you don't know. And they were like, no, we only want Spider-Man. And it was like they paid a bulk of money for Spider-Man, and for a little bit more, they could have gotten the rights to all the other characters in the Marvel Universe. And
Thank God they didn't.
Yeah. But listen, a lot of people love crapping all over Sony lately. I'm a 90s kid, okay? I grew up with the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. I didn't grow up with, but I still love the Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2. And, they had a hand in the MCU trilogy, and we have the Spider-Verse movies. Yes, the villain spin-off universe has been horrendous. They had one decent movie, and the rest of it has been trash. And obviously that one decent movie is Venom. And, it is somewhat damaging to the reputation of these characters. I don't know, actually, because, listen, how the Green Lantern movie was horrible. Nobody thought that did Green Lantern, no one thought it damaged the IP of Green Lantern, so here's the thing. I think that the best thing forward would be for Sony to finish out this Spider-Verse movie, franchise with their another 2 movies, whether, Marvel sells renews the rights for them to just keep it in the animated space. But other than that, I would support the rights going back to Marvel. But here's the bad news, guys. No matter how much we debate about it on X, Twitter, isn't going to change a thing. Sony, for whatever reason, wants to hold on to this IP. And it might be because of the animated universe, and they make these spin-off movies to justify having it, which some people argue, which, I don't know how they know the terms of the deal. But if you think that Marvel hasn't tried to get the full rights back to Spider-Man at all, you're out of your mind.
Yeah,
Okay.
Feige has tried for decades now.
Yeah. And Sony is not budging. Okay.
And
Sony
let's be
has
honest, bro. And let's be honest. If you were the president of Sony, you wouldn't either.
yeah. Yeah.
It's Spider-Man we're talking about, the most popular
and,
character of all time.
And by the way, you know what else we get out of the Sony Spider-Man franchise? The Spider-Man games. And we've had 3 great games. You know, I have some complaints about the most recent one, but I still enjoyed all 3 of them. And we're getting more. So, yes, the spin-off movies have been horrible. But aside from that, we've gotten a lot of good stuff from the Sony Spider-Man franchise. And I think it's in short-sightedness or bad memory to just say that, you know, the Sony has mishandled Spider-Man is the best managed character in the game, period. Bar none. No one comes even close. And Sony had a large hand in that.
I think that outside of movies, Sony has managed them well. And that's where I think so. And if I'm Sony, I think Sony just needs to stick to their strengths, because the reality is that they don't have to sell their whole entire Spider-Man property. They can just sell the live action rights to, you know, Disney, or just keep doing what they're doing. I think Sony can make more bang for their buck, bro, if they just shop all these characters to the MCU and just do what they're doing with Spider-Man. Like, if I'm Amy Pascal, I'm like, why can't they just focus on the video games where they're making billions of dollars? Also focus on the animated shows. Yeah, the animated Spider-Verse where they're making another lump sum of money. Like, an animated movie doing almost 500 million is insane. And you just take the live action rights, you take Craven and all these characters, and allow Kevin Feige to keep using them like they've been doing with Spider-Man. So you're making profit everywhere.